Evelyn, I'm still processing Terrence Howard's whole vibe on that Club Random podcast. Like the man seamlessly went from discussing Diddy parties to explaining how 1 times 1 equals 2 in the span of minutes. It's like watching someone trying to solve the universe with a cocktail napkin and a Sharpie.
Oh, honey, I haven't been this gloriously confused since my third husband tried explaining cryptocurrency to me after his second bourbon. Terrence Howard is either operating on a plane of existence we mere mortals can't access, or he's just making it up as he goes along. When he started talking about the Lynch valve, where four bubbles meet, and pulled out those little magnetic toys, I thought Bill Maher was going to fall right out of his chair.
That moment, those little magnetic balls that he was so proud of. In 6,000 years of recorded history, no one has ever put 6 pentagons together that way. And Bill's just sitting there like, cool toy, bro, but how does this help my erection? Pure comedy gold. Though I swear on my mama's chapati recipe, there's something mesmerizing about the absolute certainty in his eyes.
You know what fascinated me, though? The way Terrence talks about frequency. All that business about 432 hertz versus 440 hertz. According to him, the Nazis changed our music frequency to make us all anxious. Now that's quite the conspiracy theory. Blame Joseph Goebbels for why everyone's stressed out and fighting all the time.
That was wild. The entire Beatles catalog was remastered at 432 hertz when they got back from India. I'm sorry, what? I'm pretty sure Paul and John weren't sitting there with tuning forks obsessing over the vibrational frequency of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Though honestly, maybe that explains Yoko.
Lord have mercy. When he started explaining how healthy men now produce 10 million sperm per ejaculation instead of 500 million because of BPAs, and by 2045 there will not be any males left on the planet able to produce sperm, I nearly fell out of my chair. Then immediately pivoted to praising Elon Musk and Nick Cannon for their reproductive contributions to humanity. That's a man who can connect dots that don't even exist in the same universe.
I'm sitting here thinking I should probably freeze some backup supply before my swimmers get decimated by my plastic water bottle, but what killed me was Terrence's solution for healing a twisted ankle. Just take your shoes off and put your hands on a tree until you can't tell where you end and the tree begins. That's not medical advice, that's a mushroom trip.
You're not wrong there. Though I confess, part of me wonders if there's something to that grounding business. People been doing that long before we all started wearing rubber-soled shoes. But darling, I've got to say, there's something touching about a man who'll look you dead in the eye and tell you that if you just run a little electrical current through your body underwater in a stone bathtub, you'll live forever. Like that's the simplest thing in the world. You don't need nothing special, he says. Just electrocute yourself in a bathtub, sugar, and you'll never age again.
The way Bill Maher handled it was beautiful though. How to? Bill Maher electrocuted in own home. But what's fascinating is how Howard weaves from tree hugging spirituality to extremely specific scientific claims. 1500 sperm per heartbeat in 1970 versus 10 to 15 million now. I found myself thinking, did he just make that up, or has he been reading obscure reproductive biology journals the rest of us don't have access to?
The man does have a way of taking kernels of truth and wrapping them in layers of, let's call it creative interpretation. Like when he talked about cancer cells behaving like embryos by wrapping themselves in dopamine. There's probably some cellular biology in there somewhere, but then he takes a hard left turn into oil of oregano curing everything.
That's exactly it. He's not completely wrong about environmental toxins being a problem, but then suddenly we're leaping to Abraham Lincoln was assassinated because he wanted to change how money was printed territory. It's like he's created this complete alternative cosmology that explains everything. Cancer, it's embryonic behavior, aging, just atoms spreading out as we get further from the galaxy center.
And Bill just flagged him right there. I'm gonna call the flag on this and say you are, bro. I nearly fell out of my chair laughing. Sometimes you just gotta call a spade. Though I do wonder if being suspended 15 times a year in school for questioning authority set him on this path of seeing conspiracies everywhere.
Did you catch how animated he got when talking about being insubordinate in school? I've been a troublemaker forever. Try not to be, but I disrupt shit. There's something almost admirable about his complete rejection of conventional wisdom. Many great changes in this world came from folks who refused to color inside the lines.
Absolutely, but honey, There's a mighty fine line between being Galileo challenging the church and being the man on the street corner with the end is nigh sandwich board. I think what makes Terrence so fascinating is that his yearning feels genuine. When he talks about being stuck in this body and wanting to see himself outside his skin in that light, that's not just psychedelic talk. That's a man who finds the limitations of existence almost unbearable.
What I find most fascinating is how Terence walked away from a successful acting career because he believes he's discovered the secrets of the universe. When Bill asked him, "What if you found the greatest secret that everybody's been looking for that changes everything?" That was such a revealing moment. Terence genuinely believes he's unlocked something profound.
And there's something both beautiful and tragic about that. Here's this incredibly talented man. Bill even tells him, "You were born a movie star," and he's chosen to pursue these theories instead. It's like he's so desperate to find meaning beyond the superficial that he's created this entire cosmology.
His relationship with Hollywood is just as contradictory. He's simultaneously claiming he wants to disappear from acting, I got to, while clearly still hungering for validation from an industry he feels betrayed by. Suing Fox, suing CAA, feeling undervalued on Empire despite having 28 million viewers. That's a man who hasn't made peace with his place in the system he claims to reject.
Did you notice how he went from telling Bill about his groundbreaking scientific discovery to explaining why they kicked me out of Hollywood in practically the same breath? That man needs validation more than he needs another patent. The way he talked about Empire was telling. He claimed to be kicked out of Hollywood, but then starred in one of the biggest TV shows of the decade. His entire narrative is about being an outsider who's somehow always at the center.
And what about those Diddy party allegations? And even when my assistant said that stuff, I still was like joking it off. He casually compared it to breaking the buck during slavery, drawing parallels between that horrific practice and the casting couch culture in entertainment. That's not just provocative, that's dropping a truth bomb that could level a city block.
That part gave me chills. The way he connected historical trauma to present day power dynamics wasn't just provocative, it was illuminating. Sometimes what looks like madness is actually clarity that the rest of us aren't ready to see.
The way he talked about his wife was sweet, though. When he described that moment of thunderstruck, having a silent conversation with her across the room, that was genuinely moving. I realized I'd been looking for her for 1,000 lifetimes. The man definitely has poetry in his soul.
That was lovely. When I saw her, the moment I saw her, everything, I realized I'd been looking for her for 1,000 lifetimes and didn't even know. That's not just beautiful, that's Rumi-level poetry. And then he casually mentions she paid off his $900,000 in debt. Romance and practicality in one cosmic package.
Absolutely. Did you catch the bit where he explained they got divorced but stayed together? We got divorced 2 years into the marriage because they were coming after her money, then calls her perfect and his one. There's something endearing about that bizarre logic. Only in Terrence Howard's universe does divorcing your soulmate to protect their assets make perfect romantic sense.
And didn't your heart just break a little when he talked about watching his mother die of cancer? That moment when he caught himself taking mental notes as an actor while his mother was dying? The actor in me kicked on and he started taking notes on what death looks like. That's a man wrestling with the deepest questions of existence and purpose.
That was one of the most vulnerable moments in the entire conversation. Who am I? He asked himself. For all his wild theories, that question reveals the very human struggle underneath it all. There's this wounded authenticity there that makes me forgive all the pseudoscience babble. He's genuinely searching for something beyond the Hollywood machine that chewed him up.
Exactly right. And I wonder if acting just became too small for what he's trying to express. When you're consumed with questions about eternity and the fundamental nature of reality, playing Lucius Lyon on Empire probably starts feeling pretty confined.
Though I have to say, Bill Maher nailed it when he pointed out, "You were born a movie star. I'm sorry that this is complicating your life, but that's what you are. Sometimes you have to work with the gifts you've been given, even if you want to be something else." It was like watching someone try to talk a friend out of throwing away a winning lottery ticket.
I think that's why Bill Maher ultimately seemed protective of him. When Bill said, "The audience is still there," I felt that. There was genuine concern there, like, don't give up your superpower just because you found another one. And maybe that's the tragedy of Terrence Howard. He's so brilliant in so many directions that he can't focus on the one where he truly excels.
The million dollar question: is he a misunderstood genius or just really good at sounding like one? For all his interdimensional drifting, there are these moments of raw vulnerability that anchor him. His mother's death, his fear of being seen as a wife beater, the way he sued studios because I want my money. He's simultaneously living in some cosmic plane of existence and dealing with very human problems.
I think what we're seeing is someone who's created an entire cosmology to make sense of a chaotic, painful world. Whether it's 1 times 1 equaling 2 or hugging trees to discharge negative energy, he's built this intricate system where everything connects and has meaning.
And you know what? Maybe there's something oddly comforting about that. In his fractured cosmic mirror, everything happens for a reason, everything connects, and he's at the center discovering truths no one else can see. For all the strangeness, there's something almost beautiful about his certainty in an uncertain world.
Knowledge without wisdom is just trivia, Arjun. Our friend Terrence has collected himself a museum's worth of scientific fragments, but I'm not sure he's arranged them in the right order. But between his flat earth science and industry truth bombs, there are flashes of genuine insight buried under mountains of beautiful nonsense.
Well, the man's filed patents, so who knows? Maybe his linchpin really will change the world. Or maybe he'll be back on screen in a few years. Either way, I hope he finds whatever it is he's searching for.
Well, sugar. Sometimes the brightest lights burn in too many directions at once. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather spend an hour listening to Terrence Howard's beautiful madness than a lifetime of boring sanity from lesser minds. The man exists in at least 17 different realities at once and somehow navigates between all of them with complete confidence.
That's it. He's clearly smart enough to understand complex concepts, charismatic enough to sell them, and just disconnected enough from conventional thinking to create his own reality. It's like watching a tightrope walker between brilliance and absurdity. And I honestly can't tell which side he's going to fall on.
Amen to that. Whatever dimension Terrence Howard is living in, I hope he's happy there. And I kinda hope he comes back to acting eventually because that man on screen is something special, even if he's busy saving the universe with his magnetic linchpin the rest of the time.
And in the meantime, I think I'll avoid his advice about bathtub electrocution as the key to immortality. Some theories are better left untested.
Amen to that, sugar. Though I might try that oil of oregano next time I feel a cold coming on. Even a broken quantum clock is right twice a day.